Coming to you from deep within the heart of Texas in our secret underground bunkers, it's the New Republic Radio Show.
Welcome everybody to the New Republic Monday Show. I'm back again from a great weekend. I hope everybody had a good one. Over the weekend we got a bunch of news in, and one of the biggest things is about the economy. And the news is obviously not good. Now, with quarter after quarter after quarter of consecutive bad news about the economy, about our policy, about our foreign policy, our economic policy, whatever you want to talk about, we just keep getting worse and worse information. And this it made me start thinking about this over the weekend. Basically, why does Obama hate the middle class, and why does Obama hate the poor? And a lot of people will be like, wait, what are you talking about? You know, Obama's all about the middle class. He's all about the poor. I mean, just look at his speeches. He's all talking about, you know, helping people who make under $250,000 a year. Yeah, you know, we keep hearing that. And that's true. Obama talks all about all the things that he wants to do for the middle class and for the poor. We hear about all that kind of stuff. The problem is, however, what has he actually done for any of the poor or the middle class? That's my question. Are your lives any better, honestly? If you're the middle class, and if you're part of the poor, really? Has your job gotten any better? My question is this: have you gotten that promotion that you really deserved? Or was there a million excuses as to why you couldn't get it? Because your company's laying people off, it's not making as much money as it used to be, everybody's downsizing, whatever the reason is. Basically, you can point this all back to the fact that the economy sucks. And when the economy sucks, unfortunately, you're not going to get paid what you need to get paid, and you're not going to get the promotions that you need to get. And or you're not even going to get the job that you need to get. You may be completely jobless at the moment. Here's the thing. Not only has Obama been talking about how he's all for the middle class and the poor, he's also basically been touted as a president that's all for the black and the Hispanic portion of the populace. But here's my question. This last information that just come out this last weekend shows that for the Hispanic portion of the populace, they have an 11% jobless rate. And now we're talking about the part that President Obama actually measured, because, as you know, everybody's trying to say that we're around 8 to 9% jobless at the moment, but that goes by their numbers, and their numbers don't count all the people who have given up on finding a job. So 11% of Hispanics are jobless right at the moment, and that's not counting the ones who stopped looking for a job. But get this, 14.4% of blacks are jobless at the moment, and that's only the ones that have not basically given up and just aren't even looking anymore. So what has he done for the poor and the middle class? What has he done for the Hispanic or the black section of the American populace? Nothing. I mean, we know he hasn't done anything for anybody else. The white folks aren't any better. The Asians and the Indians and whatever portion you want to talk about, nobody's doing any better. So who does Obama care about? And the answer is himself, because basically he's come in with all these wackadoodle ideas to basically change this and change that, but none of it has basically been to help the economy. None of it has been to get anybody back to work. It's all been, oh, we're going to do all these green jobs. Well, basically you spend billions of dollars on the green jobs to get them started, and what do? They all go bankrupt, and all of Obama's buddies make out like bandits because they take all the money after they close the companies down. So that's a complete farce. He was supposed to be basically redoing all the roads on all these shovel-ready jobs and whatnot. Yeah, well, they weren't so shovel-ready, so nothing's been done about that. He was supposed to basically change all the one thing that he did do is actually change the entire medical industry, and that's still, we don't know exactly how that's all going to fall, but it looks like he's going to make a big change on that. And what has that done? Well, that's spent a ton of money. billions and billions of dollars that spent a lot of money for no reason, because basically what it's going to end up doing is it's going to be a failing system to where nobody can get any health care because everything is being rationed out, and we don't meet whatever particular guideline that they're looking for to be qualified for. So we basically have a loss after loss, basically failure after failure of what this man has done, and we have an economy that's paying for it, and ultimately every American that's paying for it. So, what are we supposed to do? Earlier, I believe it was on Saturday, I wrote a post on my Facebook wall, and I basically used a football analogy. And what I said was, so Coach Obama has lost every game for 4 seasons except for 2 games. Ticket sales are down, the team's budget is being cut more and more, and no one is believing what your recruiters are shoveling. You want to stick to the same offense and defense that has you last place in the league. Do we really have any other choice than to fire you? We need a winning season. It's time for a real change and real hope, not forward with the same failed ideas. And as many of you know, his new campaign slogan is forward. And that's my question. Why do we want to go forward with these same failed ideas? You know, a lot of people always wanted to talk about how Reagan's trickle-down economics, you know, that was so bad and it never worked. And obviously it did, because you had more than 20 years of prosperity because of it. However, it's the exact opposite with Obama. He wants to trickle the wealth up from the bottom up. But honestly, that's just trickle up poverty, because he wants to give all the money to the middle class and the poor and hope that it somehow works out, that somehow that money will get into everybody's hands. But no, the only thing you do is you take away from the wealthy and the middle class and you give it to the poor, and it basically makes the middle class and the wealthy poor. So now all you did was completely turn the tables. So now you have the poor that are wealthy and the wealthy and the middle class that are broke now. So what did you do? You didn't actually fix anything. You just changed sides. But, you know, we can hope. We can hope that it makes a difference, even though we've seen in every single country, every single economy where this has been introduced, we've seen that it doesn't work. Time after time after time, redistribution of wealth does not work. Why? Because it gives no incentive. No incentive for anybody to work. Why would you want to become a millionaire knowing that more than half of your money is going to be going to the government? Why would you want to work 110 hours a week just so that you can have half of your work basically go away to the government? It won't be providing for you or your family. You won't be buying anything for your loved one, for your wife, for your husband. No, you won't. Not half of that money you won't. You can spend half of it, but not the other half. Now my question is why would you do that when you can make a smaller income and only have 15 to 20%, maybe even 30% of that income go to the government? That actually makes more sense when you think about it, because only 30% of your profit, only 30% of your hard work is going away. Only 15 or only 10% is going away. So why would you work harder? Why would you come up with some great idea to make yourself a millionaire when you're basically just going to be giving half of it away? It makes no sense. It takes away the incentive. That was one of the biggest problems that I had when I was in business myself. The harder you worked, it didn't matter. In fact, and a lot of times it just made you so frustrated because you knew that those long nights and those long days, all they were doing is basically the government was taking half of it from you. So why did you want to work harder? Why did you want to expand your business? Why did you want to open up more stores? Or why did you want to do stuff like that? Why? Because basically more and more of your hard-earned work is being taken away. And all the people that you see around you coming into your store, or the guy next door, or whatever, you know, only 10 or 20 or 15 or 30% of their earnings are being taken away. So it's really hard, because it takes away a lot of the will to push yourself forward and do better for yourself. Because when you know that it's all going to be taken away, it just makes it hard. Because, you have to make sacrifices. The sacrifices are, do I get to spend time with my family, or do I stay here at work and, I make something more out of my business and out of my time? And when, 50% of that's being taken away, it makes it really hard to stay and go, yeah, you know what, I'll go ahead and stay till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. It takes away a lot of that want. But that's the thing. If you've got a coach calling all these bad calls, there's only so long. If it's your favorite team, or if you're in the management, or especially if you're in the ownership, it's not going to be long until you're just like, look, man, we got to get rid of this guy. We tried his setup, we tried his schemes for 4 years. Nothing was taken, nothing was happening. We couldn't get any new players, we couldn't get any new skin in the game because everybody kept looking around and going, man, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And that's basically what's happening with the economy. We're not getting new money in because everybody's sitting on their money. Because they're like, man, I don't want to invest in that new business or that new idea, because right now it's so volatile. The market is so volatile. It's so hard out there. I'm liable to lose my money. Maybe if I wait, and when there's a new president, maybe then at that point I can go ahead and invest and I can get some skin in the game and we can turn this stuff around and I can actually make something, for myself and for my family. But that's what's happening is it's just like, trying to get new talent. Your recruiters, man, they're out there telling everybody, hey, come play for us, but nobody wants to come play for you, man. They've seen what you've had. They've seen that you've had 4 straight losing seasons. Who wants to come play for you at that point? And you keep trying to cram the same offense and defense down our throats. Basically, this is how you're going to run the economy. We don't see anything new out of that. We know that's not worked. It's not worked for the past 4 seasons. It's not worked for any other country. It's not worked for anybody on the globe. It's not worked. So why is 4 more years? Why is even 1 more season going to help? It's not. So that's the reason why you got nobody signing up. So at the end of the day, we have to make the choice. Are we going to fire you, or are we going to keep going? And we've dug ourselves pretty far in this hole. And if we don't get somebody to make a difference, even somebody like Romney isn't going to make enough of a difference. Sure, he might keep the Titanic from sinking maybe in the next 4 years, but it's still going to sink if we keep going like we're going, even with his ideas. So the best that we can do is we can get Romney in there. We can keep the boat from fully sinking. Oh, it's going to be underwater. It's going to be listing, and it's going to be moving really slow. But that's better than a full-on just complete sink and down to the bottom of the ocean and it's all over. Because that's what we're headed for if we get 4 more years of Obama. I don't know about you guys, but it's time for real change. And the only direction that Obama is going forward with is down. Sad to say. We tried it. It didn't work. So now we're moving on. I don't know what you guys think. Call or leave a message. But if you have some questions or some concerns or some comments on any of the subjects for today's show, please call 979-31-TALK-6. The number is 979-31-TALK-6. Feel free to leave a message, leave a comment. If you want to rant and rave, that's fine. We'll probably put it on the air. We want to know what you think about this stuff. Even if you hate me, if you love me, whatever, give me a call, leave me a message, and maybe it might make it on the air. On to some local news. Now, as many of you have heard of the Maroon Wall or the incident on July 5th with Lieutenant Colonel Tisdale, basically, Lieutenant Colonel Tisdale was the commander of the 525th Brigade Special Troops Battalion. And unfortunately, he was shot and killed on June 28th by a fellow soldier who was accused of stealing a $2,000 toolbox. Now, this hero, who had served in Afghanistan and Iraq, was basically killed over someone who stole a $2,000 toolbox and didn't want to get kicked out of the military. And that's absolutely horrible. But what's even more horrible was the Westboro Baptist Church decided that they were going to show up and they were going to do their normal little thing where they spew mean and hurtful things at the folks that are attending the funeral of young soldiers. And that's what would have happened if it were not for Ron Slesia. a promising Aggie now in law school. And this guy, he got wind of Westboro's plans to protest Tisdale's funeral, and he and some other friends immediately sounded the alarm on Facebook. He wrote on his Facebook here, and I'm quoting, "In response to their signs of hate, we will wear maroon. In response to their mob anger, we will form a line, arm in arm. This is a silent vigil, a manifestation of our solidarity." That's what he wrote on his Facebook, and he basically got together a lot of Aggies and friends of Aggies together so that they could go out and basically protest the protesters. But really what's more is they just wanted to keep that garbage away from the friends and family of Colonel Tisdale. And for many of you who don't know much about Westboro Baptist Church, just to give you a quick idea here, they're from Topeka, Kansas. They were established in 1955 by Pastor Fred Phelps. And they're known for their gay-centric preaching about why God hates America. Basically, they believe that God punishes soldiers and America because of our tolerance to gays. So they basically go around to a lot of funerals for soldiers, and they stand outside and they put these signs up and they yell all this stuff and basically just try to disturb and ultimately dishonor the funeral. And it's just a sad and horrible thing, but this is just something that happens. So on Thursday, July 5th, the Aggies they all gathered outside the perimeter of Central Baptist Church in College Station. They basically would have taken on the Westboro Baptist Church if they had showed up. For whatever reason, they didn't. If any of them were actually there, I'm sure they didn't want to be known that they were there after what they saw there. And I actually wasn't there. It's something that I did want to go to. I wasn't able to. But we have here today Ashley, who was actually there, and she's been telling me a little bit about that. And this is something I know a lot of our listeners want to know about. I know a lot of people on Facebook. I saw a lot of people that were definitely in support of it, wanted to be out there. Maybe they didn't get to go out there. But I thought that we might tell them a little bit more about what was going on and how everything went down. And just maybe give them a little bit of the spirit of what was felt out there. Ashley, your thoughts on how things happened?
Well, basically what happened was Ryan and a couple of other people found out about Westboro's plan to show up at this funeral, and Chris, who was one of the organizers, just was complaining to one of his friends, and he was so mad about these people showing up to, this honorable man who had, lost his life, and, his friend said, well, why don't you do something about it? So that's how the Maroon Wall came about, and I found out about it through a friend of mine on Facebook, and I didn't have anything going on that day, and I said, you know what, this is something that I want to be a part of. So we gathered at the church around noon, and by about 1 o'clock, we probably had close to 600 to 750 people. It was amazing. I mean, to just stand there in line and you look down the line, and it was just such an overwhelming feeling to be there and to realize that you're part of something so much bigger than yourself. And then even afterward, the word got out about it, and there were pictures, and there's this one particular picture that's on Facebook that's been making the rounds on the internet. And I mean, I even have friends in California that are reposting this picture, and it's just amazing how quickly this is spread, and the support that Lieutenant Colonel Tisdale and his family have gotten. And it was just such an amazing experience to be there, and it was even better that the Westboro Baptist Church protesters actually ended up not showing up. So that was even better. They were scheduled to be there at about 1:15, and then about 2 to 2:30 is when we decided to go ahead and leave the church, and some of us actually ended up going over to the cemetery and staying for that part, and the family was just so thankful to have all of us there.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Just the solidarity of the Aggies and the 12th man ideal, that's something that I've always respected so much about the school here. They're all good, solid people, and the one thing that you have to always, that you can never not say about Aggies, is they always have each other's back. And one thing that I really respect is they always seem to do it in a very respectful way. Like you were saying, they didn't want anybody yelling or trying to yell any protesters down, or trying to get in anybody's face. Although I'm sure plenty wanted to do that, but fortunately, I think for the Westboro people, they didn't show up because this particular community is just not the community that you want to mess with when it comes to messing with a fallen Aggie. So I also heard about what was the restaurant that had the sign on the front door?
There's a C&J barbecue right near the church, and they had put just a little paper sign that somebody had printed up, and they put it on their door, and it basically said, members of the Westboro Baptist Church are not welcome here. So that just gives you a little taste of fellow Aggies' feelings toward this church and what they say that they stand for. And even people who couldn't make it. I mean, if you look on the Facebook page for the event of the Maroon Wall, we had over 1,000 people. RSVP is going, and I'm sure if they could have all shown up, they would have. A lot of them couldn't show up due to being out of town or being at work or what have you. And they all posted saying, we wish we could be there, but we will be supporting you, in spirit. And I'm sure if the entire town of College Station could have shown up, I'm sure they would have been there. It was an amazing thing to be a part of.
Well, that's also amazing. I mean, being summertime too, I believe there was between 650 and 750 people, and all that on a Thursday. A lot of people have jobs. Even some people are still in school and other things like that. That's just awesome that so many people came out. You were telling me also about the riders, the Freedom Riders. Yeah, tell me about them.
The Freedom Riders, or Patriot Guard Riders, is a group of motorcycle riders. They're members of various motorcycle clubs or just people who have motorcycles. And I'm not really sure when they were founded, but what they do is they go to these funerals where the WBC have said that they're going to show up. And if they do show up, they can be very loud and, very mean and rude about the things that they say about these families and these soldiers. And basically what the Patriot Guard Riders do is they'll show up on their bikes and they will just rev their engines as loud as they will go to drown out these protesters. And so they ride all over the country. When Lieutenant Colonel Tisdale's body was brought from Austin to College Station on July 4th, there were about 50 Freedom Riders that started with him in in Austin. And then about halfway here, 50 more Freedom Riders joined them. And by the time they made it to College Station, some of them had dropped off. So there were between 60 and 70 Freedom Riders that were actually at the church with us. And we got to meet a good majority of them. They came by and we talked to them, and they shook our hands and thanked us for coming out. So that was nice to meet these wonderful people that come out to these funerals year round.
That's just really awesome how, especially Aggies, but even just Americans in general, we all pull together when things like this come up. I know many of you have heard me, the fact that I am all for not silencing people like Westboro Baptist Church. There's a lot of people that say hateful and mean things out there. And my thoughts on these type of things are, it's not to silence them, but if anything, to shame them. I mean, we need to know that those people exist. When people say stupid and moronic things, we need to be able to identify them and know where they're at. So if they try to tell us anything else, we know to take that with a grain of salt. If we're constantly censoring people, and if everybody's, I don't mind boycotts like this where you rev a motorcycle up where nobody can hear your hateful garbage. That's one thing. But if you want to boycott people that are on the radio or on TV, that to me doesn't really make sense, because you kind of want to know where those people are, and you want to know who is spreading that kind of ignorance and hate. But the people like the Westboro Baptist Church, obviously, they're way off the deep end. Ashley and I were talking earlier. I really think the pastor there, this man has to be gay, deep down inside, he must he must be a self-loathing homosexual, because anybody that would basically have a gay-centric church, if that is your basic tenet, your message, that you want to go out there and you want to basically say that, look, this is what's wrong with the universe is gay people, obviously he's got some personal issues. I know he's got a lot of kids, and you know, that never really means anything, because that's usually a gay guy just trying to prove to himself he's not gay. But hey, it's whatever, you know. But the thing is it's his right to say those type of things, and it's their right to have that kind of church. But I think it's good when people come together and they don't prohibit anything from being said and from their message being spouted, but they just show a quiet, honest, and respectful opposition to ignorance and hatred. These guys here at this church have been around for a long time, and as Ashley said, they go all over the United States. But I really think if in every community across the United States, if every community had the type of close-knit organization like the Aggies here, like we have here in College Station, then I think the Westboro Baptist Church would be out of business, because everywhere they would go, they would just have too much opposition and too many good people trying to just, you know, basically silence through shame these type of messages. All right, guys. Well, that's it for the Monday edition of the New Republic. I'm your host, Keith Clark, and we're going to go ahead and leave you with that. Again, if you have any other questions or comments, please call on 979-31-TALK-6, 979-31-TALK-6. Thanks again, and have a great one.
It's driving nails into my soul. angels from